Hey everyone, time to finish up the budget sniper blaster with the Fire Phoenix because I've just received my tube. I'm that old nerve guy, welcome to Tag. The Fire Phoenix blaster. I did a lot of work to it, the spring, the barrel, put the scar on, fix the seal, but I wanted to put the metal plunger and pusher from either the Sembylon Valkyrie M-or the Sembylon Valkyrie, since they basically are the same blaster. Problem is, the parts were not fitting, as you could see in my video, so I could not install them inside. Now, I've just received the expanded tube from the other blaster, and from what I saw into this blaster while working at it, I am pretty confident we're going to be able to put it in. So now, let's go on the table and dive into the blaster. For this Fire Phoenix, to finish the project, first I'm going to start by addressing this little 3D printed adapter for the angle Talon magazine. Once you have the adapter, you will need two things to achieve the installation, which is a Nerf Elite Rail spring, which I found is the best and the kit was developed around it, and a little strip of electric tape to put on your adapter. I found it easier to install and better once installed because it kind of cushions it. And we're gonna pre-install the piece of tape at the bottom of the mag adapter. Be sure not to go under because this part is kind of visible under the blaster. Then you take your little notch, you put it in, you take your little spring, you put it over it. There is a little round hole where to put it, and then what I like to do is to just close everything together with the piece of electric tape. This way, when you install it, the thing will feel sturdy and in place with the little spring holding it to push and activate your little notch. And basically you reclose the shell and you're done. First thing first, we got some verification to do on this blaster. I know this pusher and I know this plunger fits my new tube, this thing that I just received. Now I'm gonna have to compare this a little bit more with the one inside, the plunger, and to see if there's any space in the shell to fit that big tube. It's not really that much bigger, but what gives me hope, it's inside this little holder guide here to hold the tube. There is some little notch inside of the circle, and here there is some space clearing it up and down. So I'm really hoping this thing is gonna fit in. Let me just lift it up. I should have, yeah, plunger somewhere, because this tube, like, there's not much of a difference. So I'm guessing the little gap we got here, which is a little wider than this one is really more thick than really smaller than the big one. But the big one fit my new plunger and my new pusher, which didn't fit the red one. Now I know this is gonna fit around it. It's gonna be loose. This is not in its hole. And this thing would fit if there was no notch on this part. Let me show you what I talk about when I say notch. You see here, this portion, there's a round hole, but you got, there's a little notch here that goes about a millimeter more toward the center. Same thing for here, here, and here. Pretty sure if I just shave those little notch, the tube is gonna fit into this holder, and it seems like it's gonna already fit inside of the shell. This thing fits straight and super tight. You just need to remove the 4 notch and that thing will fit tightly in. Yeah, I almost hurt myself pushing it in, but if I install this thing in place, this is resting at the bottom, and on both sides here, as I expected, the free space we had was beneficial. Now my only concern is this pusher. Since it's longer, I just hope it's gonna go further back enough to allow us to use our blaster, because I don't know up to where this plunger is catching. Yeah, around there. We might just be right to clear our dart with this pusher. Worst case scenario, I will remove the front part with a hacksaw and remove my inner tube, but for now I'm going to use it like that. Let's try and compare the measurement here. This one's a little smaller, no. Look pretty much the same. One is a little different than the other. The holes are at the same position. Yeah, I'm gonna assume it's gonna work. But we had some special screw included with that kit. Oh, those are my selection of O-ring for the pusher. 1, 2 little X screw. Would this thing fit? Yeah. Don't see why it wouldn't. So okay. Okay, because it's not centered. Perfect. Let's install it just for show. So I ended up putting those little washer here. They were pretty much the best choice to center the thing into this, but it's working. The framing bar are at the right place, and this thing, yeah, go almost all the way in, so we should be good for prime and usage. And this thing goes through, so that's a good sign. Pretty nice. Now I got some lube inside. Let's put a little more in on my plunger, and we're gonna reinstall everything back in. A little hiccup there. The shell doesn't close with the new tube, meaning to do that I really need to just shave those lip down on each side, just a little angle. You really need to remove only that, and then it will close. But for now, it's not closing. Let me shave that. I'm gonna attempt to close it another time. Looks like it ain't as straightforward as it looked. I needed to shave a little of this corner of the catch, a little of the top to follow the angle of the new plunger, because it is a little shallower, and I had to shave the tip of this little notch here, which is for the lock to prevent D-prime, but this thing was hitting too early, preventing us from pressing any further on the trigger to release the plunger. Oh my god. Okay, third time's a charm. This time it's gonna work. Basically everything is in. Two little things to note. First, this is not really a power upgrade. This is more of a durability upgrade, because this plunger is a bit heavier than the stock nylon plastic one. This plunger is a bit longer than the one inside now, meaning you got a little more stroke, meaning also that the spring we pre-cut is barely barely the right length, meaning the spring fully extend, which I don't really like. I like to have at least a coil or two of pre-compression on that spring, meaning even the stock spring will lower down the FPS because of the more stroke and it's losing velocity towards the end. Second thing, I will have to reopen it to address the plunger o-ring. I didn't have one that quite fit the plunger, and the one that came with it, it's a little loose. It's letting air pass through it even with lubrication. But like I said, this was mostly for durability. But this thing, prime, okay, it's not completely sealed because I'm losing air from behind the plunger, but for the rest, it is pretty much sealing. We're gonna do a chrono test with this spring inside, but even there, I'm rather sure it's gonna be a tad under what I had before in my previous test. Honestly, I'm very happy. Everything almost fit. You got some shaving to do inside the shell to give some space to the new tube. Plus, the new plunger is a bit heavier and give you a little more space for your spring inside, meaning we might have to adjust the length of the spring inside of this build. But for the rest, I mean, it almost sealed. I mean, I got some O-ring problem to change at the rear, but generally, the FPS are pretty close to what I had with the plastic internal. Note that the ultralight plunger that was inside was traveling probably faster inside of the tube, but nonetheless, it is possible to do it. But on that said, there is not that much of a performance gain. Keep that in mind. For the work invested, you might just want to keep your blaster as is with the red tube and the plastic internal, just because it is such a good deal. Like that, it is more work, but I am a little less afraid that something is going to fail inside if I put too hard of a spring. I might have wanted this tube to be red instead of gunmetal gray. It was supposed to be black when I ordered it, but it came like that. Still happy about it. The Talon mag adapter works pretty good. No, I'm happy with this blaster. I will tweak the little seal on the rear and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be a little closer to 300 FPS. But for now, that 240 to 265-ish FPS blaster is pretty satisfying. Yeah, I think that's it for this video. In the meantime, you can always follow me on Facebook and Instagram at ThatOldNerveGuy. Please leave a like and comment, subscribe for more content. Don't forget to hit that bell to notify for my latest video. This was Dave Fatag. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.